Hello, my name is Paul Elliott. I'm president and owner of ASET Services. We provide third-party testing for sports surfaces and sports equipment. I wanted to take a little bit of a minute today, do a video, talk about expansion rows, expansion in wood, what they are, what they look like in the field, and why we put them into our sample. The sample that I'm standing on is a generic panel system, 2 layers of plywood. The sample that's behind me is a generic panel system, which is why we can leave it up there to where you can see it. The orange markers are basically where pads would go to help us locate pads when someone wants to put them there. So, like I said, literally we just finished nailing this floor. I'm going to pull the expansion line spacer. Years and years ago, expansion rows were called washer rows. People actually stood washers on the tongue. Basically what that does is that gaps the floor. That creates an internal expansion inside the floor so that when the wood flooring expands during high humidity, we're here in Indiana in August, when it expands as it picks up moisture, the floor lays flat. So I'm going to take a minute, pick up my phone, and I'll reverse the image and I'll show you what expansion rows look like. You may or may not know what they look like, but in this sample you'll be able to see them. Okay, this is the sample I was just on. It's a little hard to see without the finish. They don't show up quite as well, but you'll see that directly to the left and right of the nail gun, you'll see that there is a darker line where the wood is further apart than it is anywhere else. So the wood, where the expansion rows are, creates a dark line. If you've ever watched a basketball game or looked at a gym floor and you've seen dark lines every 1, 2, or 3 feet, that's an expansion row. They're put in to keep the floors flat. So here, it's going to be hard to show you this. I'm here in the lab by myself, but I'm going to do my best. So the sample behind me again is that other generic plywood system. It was built with some expansion, but not enough. And when I say that they won't remain flat, I've got a flat sleeper. And you can see, I think from this, that there's about a 3/4 inch gap in this floor from being flat. So right now, if we were to lay the floor that's in the video down, that hump would have those pads not on the floor high enough. It would create high shock absorption values, high vertical deflection values, extremely high area deflection values, and very low ball rebound values. So the results that would come from that floor wouldn't be valid. Strictly speaking, a sample like this, if we were going to build it for a client, we wouldn't have to put in expansion rows. But the reality is, oftentimes wood gets to us directly from the plant or very close to the plant. And the moisture that it's made at and shipped to us is lower than the moisture it'll be. A floor can hump and expand, making the sample unusable, literally within a matter of a day if the climate is just right and the wood is too dry. So in general, we advise all of our clients to build their samples, or we build them for them with expansion rows. It better simulates how most of the floors in the U.S. are installed. Only in the most arid regions do they not put in expansion rows. In the arid parts of the country, Wyoming, Montana, Utah, in those parts of the country, really things get drier and they shrink up. So they don't want expansion rows because they're a problem. But the expansion rows, as I said, help the floor stay flat. It helps our samples stay flat. It's something we do for our clients. I used to work for a company where I designed floors. When you decide on a floor design, you think you know exactly what pads you're going to put in. Sometimes you need to change the configuration. Sometimes you need to get different material. Sometimes a sample may need to be here for a month before someone gets the results they want. If we build it with the expansion rows in it, they have a much greater chance of that client not having to rebuild the sink. So that's kind of our quick lesson on expansion rows. That's why you'll see them in the field. That's why we put them in our samples. That's why we recommend them. Having worked for a sports floor manufacturer, hardwood sports manufacturer, they're a large reason for complaints. People complain and say, why is this dark line in the floor? Those dark lines are there for a reason. And they're there to help your floor stay flat and your floor to last a long time and not buckle, to avoid dead spots and to function properly. So expansion rows are not a problem in your floor, and they're not a problem here in our sample. If you have a facility that you want to know how it performs, be it a new one or an old one, be sure and contact us. We'd love to work with you. If you're a manufacturer that would like to improve the qualities of your systems, improve the uniformity, performance, and safety, we'd love to work with you on that as well. Thank you for this time and have a good day.